Hey everyone, my name is David Rao and I'm the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. You can also find my ideas on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter, and a variety of other places when you search for my name, David Rao, or Make Moments Matter. I'm excited that you all are here with me tonight. I know many people didn't have school today in the United States because it's President's Day, and a lot of people did. And anyway, I know it's a very busy week, so I'm so thankful that you've decided to spend a little bit of time with me this evening. So what are we going to talk about this week? This week I'm going to talk about just a couple new books that I found just this last week. I'm going to go through my quick, brief run through kindergarten, second, and third grade, and then spend a little bit more time on fourth grade and the process of what's going on there. To share a little bit more with y'all about that. So that's what's coming up in just a minute. But first, if you hear about any books or resources or instruments or anything that you're really interested in, if I talk about it in this video, I will put it on a page on my blog. There's a links page that has a listing of all those things. So if you're like, what's that book? I've listed it on this website. You can find it either by clicking the link in the description for wherever you're watching or listening to this, or if you're on Instagram, you can check my link in profile. Or if you really want to, you can go to my blog, makemomentsmatter.org, and you can find all a link to everything there under the videos tab. Okay, so there's that. And then let's see. Also, if you want, you can join. There's a Facebook group called Every Moment Matters Music Education Community. And it's a place where I share more things from the week that I've done, or where a lot of other people share ideas and questions and comments. And it's a great place to learn from others and to learn with others. And so if you want to come join us, it's a fun Facebook group to be in. That's Every Moment Matters Music Education Community. Okay, one last thing. If you're a teacher in Kansas, I hope I'll see you. This Friday, I'm presenting at the Kansas Music Educators Association State Conference in person. We're so excited. And I'm doing 3 sessions, 2 on centers and 1 on puppets. So all things I love and I'm excited about. So if you are teaching in Kansas and you're going to be at KMEA, I'm excited to see y'all there. If I don't recognize you or immediately because masks and I'm terrible across the room, come up and say hi. It'd be fun to chat. So anyway, that's this Friday. If you're a Kansas teacher, I'd love to see you there. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick sort of run through just a couple things that I love that we're doing in kindergarten, second, third, and fourth. But before I do that, I wanted to share 2 new books that I found. Sometimes I'll just, if I have a chance or if I have some time after school, there's a branch of my public library really close to my school. It's actually like on the way home. So if I have a chance or if I have 20 minutes or whatever, I'll sometimes just bop in and just run through the children's book section to see if there are any new books, anything I don't already know, anything I don't already have. And I found 2 cool books I wanted to share with y'all. One of the things I would also encourage you to do is if you're like, wow, there's so many books, but I have maxed out my classroom budget or my personal budget, or I don't want to buy any more books right now. Totally get it. A couple things you could do is have a list of books that you really want to get and have that available in case anyone from PTA is interested or anybody in your life who's like, I want to donate to your classroom or I want to do something tangible. People love buying books. So I would encourage you to like make a list, come up with a list. I have a whole list on Amazon of all the books that I love that you can use as like a baseline list because even if you don't buy from Amazon, you can get the author name, the publisher, the ISBN, all from Amazon. So that's there if you want it. But I have a list of things that I really love for my classroom, some that I like want to get, some that I think that I can get cheap. But I always have a list in case somebody asks like, hey, what can we get for your classroom? Books. Also, go to your public library. You can sometimes find the exact book that you want. Maybe they don't have it at your branch. Put it on hold, have it sent to you. Public libraries are great, and you can find lots of great things there. So anyway, all that to say, go and browse and see what you can find. And then if you can find something great, put it on your list. Use it for later. So this first book is called Hurry Up. It's by Kate Doberak, illustrated by Christopher Silas Neal. Like I said, this is a brand new one to me. I have not yet used it in class, but I have some ideas. And if you have other ideas about how we could use it, please put that in the chat, and we can share some of those as we go. But I'll just read a couple pages. Hurry up! Hurry down. So waking up and then going down the stairs. Hurry round and round and round. Hurry here, hurry there, hurry, scurry everywhere. I love this picture because all these kids in the classroom hurrying, scurrying, and throwing papers and things getting crazy all over. Hurry out, hurry in. Out of the school, into the school bus. Hurry if you want to win. Hurry so you'll reach the top of the stairs. Hurry. 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 Stop. Slow things down. Take a break. Look around, for goodness sake. Breathe it in, blow it out. This is what it's all about. Make a wish, take a walk. Listen to the forest talk. I won't read it all. It goes through at the end. Yeah, I love this last part. No more fast, slow instead, dreams and lazy days ahead. So a couple cool things about this book. In the first part, where everything's hurrying, the illustrations are just very different from the end, where things have slowed down. So when it's really fast, there's a lot of white space. There's a lot of empty space. The trees are not colored in. They're just outlines. The students' desks are all outlines. You just really don't see, it's very bleak. And the second you slow down, everything is colored in. All the backgrounds are there. Everything is in full color and full detail. And it's just a really fun, cool, sort of tricky trick of the mind transition where it looks so different now. And all that to emphasize, like, when you slow down, you see more, you understand more, you hear more. And so my thought is, how can I use this in a lesson? Well, a couple ways. My initial thought was, when I can use this as like a touchstone, so that like I can read it to a class, we can talk about it, we can process through it, and then anytime that we're like rushing, if we're learning an instrumental piece or we're learning something and we're rushing, I'd say like, no need to go fast, slow down. So I could be like that like story that we recall when we're trying to like talk about when to slow down, like slow music down, right? Like there's that part. We could also use it to talk. I could use it with my younger grades and talk about like listening for sounds in our environment, because that's one of the things that I talk about with kids. Is like, what can you hear? Can you hear a steady beat out in the world? Can you hear the so me? Can you hear whatever? What do you hear? What other sounds do you hear? Do you hear singing? Do you hear instruments? Do you hear sounds from the road? Do you hear cars? What do you hear? Do you hear bird? All the things that you can hear if you stop and listen for them. So this would be a great book to sort of preface that lesson or anchor that lesson. Another way you could use it is you could also talk about like the things that they notice once they go through again the second time, like once they slow down and really listen for things. It could be for like, if you're doing like a listening lesson with a listening map, what can you hear if you're really listening for them? If you just go through once with no guidance, and then the second time, if you like know what to look for, that would be another way that you could sort of use this book to anchor that lesson about like what you're listening for, how you're listening. But I think it's just a really fun book to get kids to think about slowing down and taking a break, sort of taking things as they come. It's especially great when we have, for me, if I'm thinking, my lessons in like 30 minutes, I have no breaks in between. I gotta rush. We have so much to do. There's so much, concerts coming up or whatever. It's a great lesson for me, because then I can get the kids thing like that, but then also remind myself like, hey, slow it down. So anyway, this is a book called Hurry Up. It's by Kate Dopirek, Dopirek. I have not encountered her as an author yet, so I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that. And the art illustrator is Christopher Silas Neal. So super cool book. If you have any other ideas about like how you'd use this, pop them in the chat, and I'd love to share them out. It's a cool book. Again, just found that going to the library, seeing what there was. Here's another book that I am definitely going to get for my classroom. It's called We're Going on a Treasure Hunt. And this is by Kelly DiPuccio, Dipuccio. Pictures by Jay Fleck. And it is like another version, another take on We're Going on a Bear Hunt. Only this one is a bunch, if you look at the illustration, it's a bunch of animals. There's a sloth, there's a giraffe, there's a turtle, there's an elephant, and a pig, and a rabbit, all as if they were pirates, dressed up as pirates on a pirate ship. I love especially the turtle has an eye patch. Don't know if you can see that. Or the rabbit has a peg leg. You know, they're all wearing like typical piratey things. But it's a cute little book, so let me read just a couple pages. Ahoy! We're going on a treasure hunt. We're gonna fetch some gold. Yo ho ho, me hearties, let's go. So obviously, if you were modeling this after we're going on a bear hunt, you could take that exact same thing where like kids mimic you. So like, we're going on a treasure hunt. We're going on a treasure hunt. We're gonna fetch some gold. We're gonna fetch some gold. Yo ho ho, me hearties, let's go. Yo ho ho, me hearties, let's go. Right? So like kids could absolutely mimic that or echo that back as if it was like we're going on a bear hunt, right? Okay. A giant squid, all hands on deck. Get your swords, he'll cause a wreck. Arms be thrashing, cut the rope. Bravery is our only hope. Okay, so there's this picture of the giant squid trying to like crush the ship, right? Well, okay. And then they go tickle, swish, tickle. So the action here could be trying to tickle the squid. Because like again with going on a bear hunt, it's like you stop in between each iteration of we're going on a bear hunt and you add some sort of action. So this could be like, you know, pretending you have a sword or pretend to like fight off with your hands, squid, tentacles. Be easy to add that in. And so then they go back. We're going on a treasure hunt. We're going on a treasure hunt. We're gonna fetch some gold. We're gonna fetch some gold. Yo ho ho, me hearties, let's go. Okay, the next one is Jolly Rogers, raise the sails. Starboard there be wicked whales. Hoist and hurry, watch your backs, lest you be a hearty snack. So there are whales trying to tip over the boat. So they're saying heave ho, they're saying hoist the sail. So it could be like pulling on rigging, pulling on, you know, ropes. That would be another one. That'd be fun. Okay. Shiver me timbers, high winds, mates, a hurricane, the kind we hates. Lightning bolts and booming thunder. First we plunge and then we plunder. But then the illustration is all of them are below deck looking out the portholes like they're scared of the thunder. So then that could be, you know, like hide underneath or like try and make a porthole with your hands or something to try and hide. So that would be an easy action to add in. The next one is paddle, paddle, paddle to the island of doom. Wait, hold on. Ahoy, a wave! Heading for our ship. Salty dogs prepare. Lassie's gonna flip. So it could be like a surfing stance. That would be an easy one. Curses me buckos, an army of bones, swashbuckling ghosties with spine-chilling groans. No time to waste, no time to fear, we fight till the end. The booty be near. Okay, you'd have to decide how much of this pirate language you're going to add in. But this could also be like a let's look brave, let's look, I don't know, let's look like we're fearsome pirates. Aye, buccaneers, the treasure be thar. It hasn't been easy, we've come very far. Blimey, it's shiny, a bountiful loot. Scallywag! Or Captain bewares, there's a beast by your boot. Okay, so then there are just so many fun ways that you could do it. It also on the last page they have the different sounds they've used: whoosh whoosh, paddle paddle, boom boom boom, heave ho, tickle tickle swish, bye bye boom. We're going on a mouse hunt. We're going to build a trap because the mouse is like the scary. That's the scary animal that the pirate captain has to look out for. Anyway, it's a cute little book. It'd be easy to. Oh, but first we take a nap. It'd be so easy to use this as like another version of We're Going on a Bear Hunt. Super cute book. And especially if you're doing like an ocean theme, anything, your school's ocean themed, I don't know. It'd be a cool one to do. So this one is We're Going on a Treasure Hunt by Kelly DiPuccio. Cool. Okay, so I noticed, again, if you can think of other ways, fun ways to use this, put that in the chat. I noticed in the chat, people said about hurry up. They said it might be fun to use with instruments and make a sound story with xylophones and percussion. Totally, you could absolutely do that. Talking about the differences in tempo, like the fast and slow, or the things you might notice as you go. And maybe the first whole half, it would be like just really quick movements. And in the second half, you could really embellish what you hear or what you see. Let's see. Andrea also said, another would be to go back and forth between two classical pieces that are hurry and slow and talk about allegro, presto, moderato, largo. Sure, you could absolutely do that. It's just a really cool book that you could anchor a ton of different lessons on. And the illustrations are so cool. Again, I just love that when it goes, you hurry, hurry, hurry with all these bleak, sort of sparse illustrations to when the character actually does slow down. Everything's filled in, everything's colorful, everything's just, there's so much more detail in all the illustrations. I think that's such a really cool detail about the book itself, but you could use it for a lot of things. Again, I think I would use it maybe in a couple different grades, maybe as a fun like reference, like don't speed up so much when you're playing, but it could also be about tempo. It could be about what you notice when you listen more carefully. There are just so many things that you could add. Also, the illustrations are just super great. And there's like a hound dog. And I have a hound dog. So super cool, fun book. Hurry Up by Kate Dopirek. Okay, those are just 2 books that like I found at the library and I was like, hey, I gotta share these because they're super fun. And so I wanted to talk about them. But let's get to lesson ideas for the week. So kindergarten, I wanted to share 2 of the songs that I'm using to start our lessons for just starting the lesson for the week, because it's always good. My kindergartners come in, we circle up, and we always sing a song. And so the first one we do that we did a week or 2 ago was Here We Go Looby Loo, Here We Go Looby Light, Here We Go Looby Loo, all on a Saturday night. And I just play that on F and C. Bum, 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 bum. Or you could play in another key. One of the things I'm just playing that tonight in F and C. But you could do, here we go Looby Loo, here we go Looby Light, here we go Looby Loo, all on a Saturday night. The ukulele is a great instrument to have available. If you don't feel like the key works for your kids for where you're singing, for me tonight it was perfect in F, but for your kids, if that's not where you want it, I would suggest getting a capo, because the chords for a C major chord progression, C, F, and G, are really easy for you, teacher, to play. But if it's not the right range for kids to sing in, just get a capo, and then you can go from C to C sharp to D. You can go way up. Sounds a little funny if you do that, but the cool thing about the capo is you still feel like you're playing C, F, and G, which are very accessible, easy chords even for a beginner teacher or a beginner player, right? But you play the easy chords and it sounds in the range that you want, because if you're trying to play the chord progression for D or E, not so easy. So anyway, get a capo. They're super fun. So Looby Loo is a great one, and I love it because so here we go Looby Loo, here we go Looby Light, here we go Looby Loo, all on a Saturday night. Yeah, I would not sing it in F with kids. I'd sing it in C. But for me tonight, F is great. So that's the first part, and I just have little actions where we lean one way or lean the other. And then the next section of the song goes, you put your right foot in, you take your right foot out, you give your foot a shake, 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 and turn yourself about. Now, the first time I do this song, I don't really worry about right or left, because I know kids, especially kindergarten, they have a hard time with right and left, and so I don't make a big deal out of it, especially if we're in a circle facing one another. If we were all facing the same way, it'd be easier for kids together to figure out which is their right and which is their left. But if we're facing each other, that complicates things. So the first time I say, just put a foot in. You put your foot in. You take your foot out. You give your foot a shake, 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 and turn yourself about. Oh, here we go, Looby Loo. And then we sing that again. And the next time I say, you put your other foot in. You take your other foot out. And then what we do foot. And then I say, okay, actually, I wonder if we could do maybe right and left. And I have posters in my room that show them the right and the left. We turn, we figure that out, we do all of that. We bring our right hand in, and then we do our left hand, and then we do our head. It's a lot like the hokey pokey. You could choose whatever you want. But usually the first time we do it, just so that we can learn the song and not worry so much about directions, I just say put a foot in. Put your other foot in, right? And then once we sung it now, like 3 or 4 times, then I say like put your right hand in, and then we can figure out right and left and worry about that. But I just progress up to that and don't worry about it the first time. If you want, I did a favorite folk song set. So the favorite folk song is this resource thing that I make that has just like slides for vocabulary, slides for history for the songs, and visuals, all sorts of things like that. This one's free. It's on my Teachers Pay Teacher store. I put a link to it on the links page, but it gives you a little bit of basis. It would also, if you don't know the song, it gives you the the melody and all of that and extra verses and things if you want to use that. But that's on the on my Teachers Pay Teachers, and it's free. So it's there if you want. Okay, then another song that I do with my kindergartners as sort of an intro is... I'm going to do it again in F for me, but for kids I'd probably do it in C. Sally go round the sun, Sally go round the moon, Sally go round the chimney pots every afternoon. And maybe you've heard this one, maybe you haven't. It's a super fun little song. There is a version that goes, Sally go round the sun, Sally go round the moon. That's another variant depending on where you learned it, where you did, where you first heard the song. But the version I know goes, Sally go round the sun, Sally go round the moon, Sally go round the chimney pots every afternoon. When we first teach this, there is a little movement action game, but again, when I'm first teaching, I just want them to focus on the singing part. And so I go, Sally go round the sun, I hold out one hand. Sally go round the moon, I hold out the other hand, so it looks like I have sun in one hand and the moon in the other hand. Sally go round the chimney pots, I just twirl my hands, sort of roll my hands. So they have an action to do while we sing it. And we're standing in a circle, easy peasy. Sally go round the sun, Sally go round the moon, Sally go round the chimney pots every afternoon. And then I say, actually, no, let's add a little something at the end. Watch this. Sally go round the chimney pots every afternoon. Woo! Now, it's not woo! It's just woo! It's a quick one at the end. Okay, so the first time we just do the actions like that. Sally go round the sun, Sally go round the moon, Sally go round the chimney pots every afternoon. Woo! And at this point, I like to show kids a little bit. And let me just show you one of the things that I show them. And again, I like to have these visuals because I think it helps them sort of understand a little bit more about what we're talking about. I don't like to talk about songs and use vocabulary if I don't identify what it is, because I don't think all kids will know all words. So, for example, here are a couple things I might show kids. And again, this is for kindergarten, so it sort of depends on what I think they can really handle. But let me see if I can show you this Instagram. There we go. So the first, I might show them is from England. I might, on a map, I might do that. I might show them, the word round. In this song, we're talking about going around or going in a circle, which in a second we'll add that as part of the song. So like the song says go round and we are going round. So that I try and make that connection sometimes. But for sure, I try and talk about chimney pots because that is not something that a lot of kids or maybe even adults have the vocabulary for. And so chimney pots are these little sort of cylindrical things on top of chimneys. They're supposed to help pull the air out, get the smoke out, draft it out correctly out of your chimney. Not all chimneys have them. And so we sort of talk about, if you look around at those chimneys, well, first of all, what are chimneys? But if you look around and you try and find them on a house, you may find these pots, you maybe won't. Maybe. And then, okay, since I'm showing the visual, there are lots of other things included. So I have other slides if you want, like history and explanation, all that sort of thing. I also have, so this one, again, like I said, this one has two different versions of the music. So you might see Sally go round the sun, Sally go round the moon, or you might do Sally go round the sun, Sally go round the moon. There are those two different versions in case you use one or the other. There's also the different, if you look at the different lyrics, Sally go round the sun, Sally go round the moon, Sally go round the chimney pots every afternoon. There's a version that goes, Sally go round the sun, Sally go round the moon, Sally go round the sunshine, Sunday afternoon. There have been different versions. Sally go round the stars, Sunday afternoon. So different versions depending on what it is that you know. And then also directions for the movement game if you want. So let's talk about once we've learned those words, and once we've learned it, we talk about going round. And so we all grab hands and we move one direction, and we sing and we walk. And at the very end, I go, but wait, there's one part that we need to make sure we add, and that's the woo, which means that at the very end, on the woo part, we can't take our hands and go woo because we're holding hands, right? But we could do a little jump. So at the end, sailing around the chimney pots every afternoon, woo! And we just do a little jump. We do that a couple times, and then we get to the part where in the song you can have, on the woo, you can switch directions. I don't always do this the first day with kindergartners because it just takes a while to get there, plus also like they're not good at switching directions or remembering, or I mean, there's a lot. So usually this is like a second day we do this song sort of thing. We add in the change directions. You can also do it where you have two circles, one going one way and one going the other. I probably would not do that with kindergarten because I don't think they could maybe handle that. Anyway, both super fun songs, super easy to use. Again, if you're using a ukulele, I suggest you get a capo because it makes playing. If you have a ukulele, get a capo because it makes playing so much easier. So if you're like, ooh, they can't sing this in C. Sally go around the sun, Sally go around the moon, Sally go around the chimney pots every afternoon. Or you're like, I'd rather do it in D. So just move up the capo a couple frets. You feel like you're playing C, but you're really singing in D. Sally go around the sun, Sally go around the moon, Sally go around the chimney pots every afternoon. But anyway, I would suggest get a capo. They're totally worth it. They're also not expensive. This ukulele capo is like $8, but totally worth it. You can use a guitar capo. They just get heavy on the uke. So I used a guitar one for a while. It was fine. I eventually moved to this and was like, why didn't I get this earlier? Because it makes life so much easier. Okay, let me share about what's happening with my second graders. So in the last couple weeks, I've been talking about my second graders, how we're talking about bar lines, we're talking about how to compose, we're doing that sort of thing. But I wanted to share one process and analogy that's worked pretty well for me and sort of show you how that's working. So again, in my classroom, all my kids, for this specific activity, we get whiteboards, they get dry erase markers and erasers, dry erase markers and dry erase erasers. And they get a board. And I use my iPad. And my iPad I can mirror up on the screen because of my Apple TV. There are a lot of different ways to do that. If you don't have an iPad where you can do this or don't have an option like that, you could, if you have a document camera, you can put an example under there and show kids. But the cool thing about having my iPad and being able to do this is I can walk around and be around with all different sorts of kids and be anywhere in the room and mirror up to the screen, which is cool. So I'm actually going to mirror up to the video right now so you can sort of see what kids would see. If it'll turn on, hold on just a second. So I'm using an app called Sketches School. It's a cool app. I've shared about it before. But I'm using Sketches School. It's the way I show kids sort of a big visual on the board. So, and it's free, I'm pretty sure, in the App Store. I'm pretty sure. I'm also using a pencil, sorry, not a pencil, a Logitech pen, which my district gave me, and it works pretty well. Okay, so when we're doing this composition activity, over the weeks we've talked about, we played the magic number game where I have basically a 4 over top. Basically, it's a time signature, but we just call it the magic number game, and the magic number tells you how many things you can have. So we did that. If you're interested in that, I talked about that several weeks ago, how I did process through that whole lesson. We talked in this lesson about bar lines. We went to the Note neighborhood and looked at a presentation about that with my class. Where it sort of talked about bar lines. So what I'm going to do in this lesson is I'm going to set them up and say you need to have 4 bar lines. And I also talk about, like, if your board is, big like this, don't just do one bar line straight up and down the middle. We're trying to get our bar lines just really nice, just a little bit higher and lower than the line that we're composing on. So don't make it quite so big. Also, I try and make sure that kids don't do this. They don't do like tiny little bar lines, like, fill up the space. If you've got the space, use the whole space. So we talk about that, just sort of set ourselves up for success. And then and then you can also put a double bar line at the end because we're going to stop when we get there. Okay, cool. So the magic number is 4, and it says that you can put 4 what? 4 taws. Okay, so if you want, you could do this. Okay, 4 on this side of the bar line and 4 on this side of the bar line. And to me, this would work. This is fine. You can do this. And if you look at the bar line, it's a little bit lower and a little bit higher than the notes. That's perfect. Because if the bar line were the same height as the notes, you'd lose it. So we can't do that. It's got to be a little bit bigger, a little bit lower, a little bit higher, a little bit lower to really be able to see really well. Okay, so if you did your whole board like this, you could, but it would be just like a little bit boring. I mean, you're allowed, you can do this if you want. This is a totally acceptable answer to have just all tas. That's fine. You can. And I always tell them that because, like, technically, yes, you can do this, and that is fine. And if you do this, you have a correct answer. But I say, like, you know, if you're going to get a pizza, what's, like, the default basic pizza? It's like a cheese pizza, right? And cheese pizza is fine. I mean, a lot of people, it's their favorite pizza. But, like, just basic cheese pizza, there are a lot of people who like other things on their pizza. So, like, this that's on the screen right now, it's sort of like a cheese pizza. But, like, let's say we want, like, a pepperoni pizza. That means we have to spice it up and add a little bit of something in here to make it not just, like, the basic default, right? Okay, so, like, what if I did, what if I made a toddy there, and I did a toddy here and here. Okay, that's cool. So now the first line, it is not a cheese pizza. It is like a pepperoni or something, right? So let me do pepperoni-fy the next line. Okay. Yeah, so this is a great example for pepperoni because look, like now I have tas and toddy. And so, like, that's pretty much a pepperoni because it's all the same. But what if I don't want just pepperoni? What if I want, like, supreme? Ooh, not even supreme. Let's not even go there yet. What about a Hawaiian? Hawaiian has two things. It has Canadian bacon and it has pineapple along with the cheese. Okay, so if I'm going to do a Hawaiian pizza, let's say that, like, the tas are like the cheese and the toddy is like the Canadian bacon. Well, I got to add in some... pineapple. Okay, so now I have like three things going, right? Okay, so I'm just every once in a while going to change things out. You know what, maybe I don't think I actually, right here, I don't think I want the rest there. I think I want it here. Yeah, let me change that. Because I don't like the rest right there in front of the bar line. It's just, I want to make sure that I know when it's coming. So I'm just going to leave, and, you know, I'll do one in the bottom row too. Ooh, right here before the end. That's going to mess people up who read it. They're going to get confused. I love it. Okay, so that one is more like a pepperoni pizza. Okay, or a Hawaiian pizza. Okay, but what if some people don't just want Hawaiian? Some people want, like, maybe they want 4 cheese, or maybe they want supreme, or maybe they want meat lovers, or maybe they want a taco pizza, or maybe they want a dessert pizza. I don't know, all sorts of things. So let's mix it up even more. How about we added a half note? Okay, and so then this is where we talk about how can you add a half note, where can you add a half note, if you're going to add a half note, what's it going to look like? And so, you know, I show some examples. That was not a good example because it doesn't, there we go. Okay, let me add a half note here. Okay, yeah, that's like this. Now we're getting really interesting. Okay, hold on. Let's go full on supreme pizza and let's add. Actually, this isn't even full on supreme. This is okay. This can be supreme. Let me add in another thing here. And then, you know, like, so then along the way, we're adding all the things that we've learned through the year or maybe in the previous year. Okay, what if we want Supreme Deluxe? Okay, watch this. Supreme Deluxe, check this out. Ooh, we learned how to do this year. We talked about this in class already. Ooh, Supreme Deluxe, that's toddy, but now it's toddy with, oh my gosh, what? 2 eighth note flags. Oh, wow, that is exciting. I'm going to do another one down here. And so you know, like we're going through, we're writing, and then at the end of the lesson, it's like they read, or they read their neighbors, or we read a couple examples from the class together. But again, it's like the whole purpose is I want them to, first of all, know how to use a bar line correctly. I want them to know how to put notes in what orders and how they can do that. That's all important. I also want them to know that, like, they have creative choice here, like they have choice about what they put and why they put it there. And so usually I'll say, like, oh wow, that's really interesting, read through it. If you still like it, keep it. If you don't like it, if it's hard to read or if it's not your favorite or something just sticks out, then change that and then go through and try again. You know, so this is a whole process of talking not just about note values, not just about bar line, but also about why you're making choices that you're making. And then it also it gives me a chance to talk about that, about creative choice, why you're doing that. It also gives me a chance to go through and talk to kids who maybe have an issue and do something like this. So let me just erase one line and highlight just this one little section. So let's see. What if I have a kid do this? We talked about the magic number is 4. There are definitely kids who go through and do this. That's 4. No, it's not, because we talked about the magic number is 4, but 4 beats, right? So a half, so I have to go through and talk about, well, Toddy, I know it's confusing, but Toddy shares a beat. So Toddy is 1 beat, and a half note is 2. So really, you don't have you do have 4 little note heads here. That's correct, but this note is actually worth 2 beats. And this one is worth 2 beats, and this one is worth 1 beat. So actually you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beats in this measure. And so in an instance like this, I would go through and talk. A kid, I found in general, their initial reaction is to do this. Just erase it. And I always try and stop them before they do it. I go, no. You've got some great stuff here. Before you erase, what could you take away, or what could you change to make this correct, to make this match? What could you do? And so then we talk about, like, how can you adjust? How can you change? What can you do to make that actually work? And so then, because kids will just, I think, automatically just like, whoop, just erase the whole thing. I don't want that. I want them to see, like, how can I use what I already have? How can I fix that? How can I change that so that what I do have is correct? Anyway, that's my process. Somehow the pizza analogy was like super duper helpful. There was one class that was like, but I like cheese pizza. And someone else was like, I like cheese pizza too. And I was like, well, that's great when you're making it for yourself, but you're making this pizza for me. Or maybe you're making it for your neighbor. I don't know, not for you. And whoever ordered this pizza ordered more than a cheese pizza. They want a cheese. They want 4 cheese. If you're going to do cheese, at least do like 4 cheese. More interesting than just basic cheese. Or, maybe they ordered a veggie lovers. So you're going to need to change something. They ordered a chicken bacon ranch. I don't know. But for some reason, the kids, they get it. They're like, okay, there's the baseline. We like food. And they're like, the baseline is cheese. How can we alter or change and make it even better? Okay, so that's 2nd grade. What I'm doing in my 3rd grade class, I just wanted to share just briefly with y'all. So my 3rd graders are getting ready for like our concert is sort of like around the world, but we're doing dances. We're doing folk dance and things from around the world. So we've learned several different dances from Europe, one from South Africa, one from Canada, and we just added not like one specific dance, but we've started adding pieces of Bhangra. And if you're not familiar with Bhangra, it's this really cool, I think it's Punjab, and this sort of dance movement form from India. And when I was sort of like trying to look and like find different things from around the world, this one, it's just so energetic and it's so exciting. And so what I do with kids is I share a couple different videos with them. I share a video of some like semi-professional Bhangra dancers, a group called Bhangra Empire, and they do like the halftime show at a Golden State Warriors game, and it's just so cool and so compelling. It's 4 minutes. It's so action packed. It's so much movement. The visuals are just amazing. So I show them that, and I'm like, and now we're gonna do some of this, and they're like, they give me this look like, no, there's too much. But there are some really great tutorial videos out there for kids, like aimed at kids, to give them some basics. I put in a link on the links page to Bhangra Empire performing at the game, and also to the first video I used that I actually asked kids to participate in, and it just shows them 4 movements. It does it very slowed down, and then it speeds it up. And one of the things I like about Bhangra is that, like, what I'm learning about it is that it's just a very joyous, excited dance. It does have its roots in India, but it's really sort of becoming sort of like Zumba. Like it's being taught in classes all around the world. It's being shared online. And so it's this form that's sort of growing and changing. So my plan is that like we're going to use these tutorial videos with actual like people who are trained in Bhangra to like show us some of the moves, and then we'll put together sort of a dance based on some of those basic moves. Because again, if you watch the sample video, sorry, it's Bhangra, Bhangra. If you watch the sample video, they're so much moving, so much doing. It is like to ask a kid to do that would be overwhelming, but there are some really cool, simple ways. And the videos that I'm sharing that are on the links page, I put that links there. It's really basic, and the first video is shows like some of the basic moves, and then it also shows like don't forget to move your hips, don't forget to move your shoulders, and so it like helps to sort of process them through. And again, you can find a lot of examples if you want, because one of the videos I was watching that was explaining Bhangra was like, it's in Hollywood, it's in Bollywood, it's on TV, it's in exercise things, like you can find it anywhere. And so really you can find a lot of cool examples. But Bhangra Empire has some cool stuff. They're on TikTok, they're on YouTube. You can find, just, I would say, again, preview the video if you're going to share it with kids. Because even like a performance for something, the music they use, you may not want to show, or you might want to show, I don't know. But always check through. But I would say most of these Bhangra videos are like super, again, this whole thing is like, it's a festival dance. It's so joyous. The colors that they wear are amazing. And when you see, like none of the videos that I've seen has someone not been like, openly huge smiling. Like it's been, they're very much excited into it. So super cool. Go check that out. And I put those links on the links page in case you're interested. And I put the demo video show kids, and then also like the first tutorial video. But there is like a series of tutorial videos for kids that you could use if you wanted. And we've done like the first 2 so far in my class. Okay, let's jump into 4th grade, because 4th grade is doing some really cool stuff. So in the last couple weeks, we've been talking about nursery rhymes. Every time they come to class, they learn a new nursery rhyme. We talk through, basically, once we've gotten like 4 or 5 or 6 under our belt, which is like just 4 or 5 minutes at the beginning of class, we talk through it, we read through it. They know a lot of them, surprisingly. But we read through it, we talk through it, we talk about, does it feel like it's in 2 or 3, but I don't say that. I say, does it feel marchy or does it feel wobbly? And we talk about that. So we sort of get the understanding of like, how is the poem said? What is more natural? How is that natural? How would you say it? To get in their head. And so I use a lot of examples. So over the last couple weeks, the ones that I've taught them are Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, Hey Diddle Diddle the cat and the fiddle, Jack and Jill went up the hill, Little Miss Muffet sat on her tuffet, Cobbler my shoe, Hickory Dickory Dock, Diddle Diddle Dumpling, and one was a racehorse. So you can use whatever you want, right? Like you could use any nursery rhyme. So we've done that just sort of as like a beginning, and then we'll jump off to something else. We'll do some other sort of activity. What we're getting into now is that I'm giving kids nursery rhymes, and I want them to be able to turn that rhyme into a melody that they can play on the xylophone. So the very first day I pulled out, I started with Humpty Dumpty. So I projected up on the screen something that looked very much like this, which is just the 4 lines. The top line says Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. The next one goes Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. The next one, all the king's horses and all the king's men. And the last one, couldn't put Humpty together. Again, so we just spoke through it. We're at the instruments. We're in do pentatonic on C, so I've taken off the Fs and the Bs from the instrument. And of course I don't have one at home because we had a snow day and whatever over the weekend, and I didn't have a chance to go grab one. So you're going to have to imagine we are all at our xylophones and metallophones and glockenspiels here. So we've taken off the Fs and the Bs, and I say, okay, so what I want you to do, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. You're going to just take that rhythm, the words, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. If I wanted to say that actually without the words, I could go bum, 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 right? But that's still Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Bum, ba-dum, ba-dum, bum, bum, bum. Okay, what you're going to do is you're just going to play that. Just play it on your biggest bar. Bum, 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 bum. And now I want to see, I'm going to give you 30 seconds. And I want you to go through and see if you can find a way using the 5 bars you have, the 5 biggest bars, which are C, D, E, G, and A, because we took off F. I want you to use those 5 biggest bars, and I want you to find a way to play this first line, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. All by yourself, just whatever in your own space. So it could be bum, 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 bum. That'd be fine. It could be bum, 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 bum. That could be fine. Bum, 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 bum. I don't care. Whatever you want to do, come up with. You get 30 seconds to try out different things, find your favorite, and practice it. So I give them time. I walk around. I let them do that. Great. Okay. The next part goes, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. Hold on. The first part goes, Humpty Dumpty. I'm going to take out the words, and I'm just going to read with like the bump, bump, bump in my head. So the first line goes, bum, 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 bum. The next one goes, bum, 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 bum. Wait, was that the first line or the second line? Was it first? And we talked through the first and the second line have the same rhythm. So I say, okay, hold on. If that's true, then I could just take that part that I already created for the first line and use it again. So if I went bum, 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 I could do bum, 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 bum. I should do it 2 times in a row because it's the same rhythm. Try it. And then I let them try. They go through and they play. And then I go, okay, the next part goes, all the king's horses and all the king's men. Bum, 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 bum. Is that the same as the first 2 lines? No. Okay, well then you have to find a new way to do it. So they find their way to play that. And then bum, 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 bum. That actually is the same as all the king's horses and all the king's men. Couldn't put Humpty Dumpty. It's the same, but because it's like the end of our poem, maybe find something just a little bit different or a little bit of a change to finish out your melody. Because the first 2 the same are cool, but because maybe you want to do something different with the last 2 lines, just find something a little bit different. Okay, so then they go through and they do that. So then I have them play it, right? And maybe depending on how much time we have, I might have one section, show off and play their thing. So just the soprano xylophones, or maybe I have the glockenspiels all play, or maybe I have. Usually, I like to divide it up by the different timbres or the size. So like all metals or all woods, or maybe I do different sizes or whatever, so that kids can hear other kids and what they've come up with. Or there's like a mini, not really a solo, but like a mini chance where like you get to share with other people who are listening to you. So that's sort of cool and fun to be able to do. So if we have time, we'll do that. If we have a lot more time, I might say, okay, rotate instruments, and now you're going to play your same thing just on a new instrument, which is tricky for them because the sticking feels different, the playing feels different, the sitting probably feels different. What they're hearing is different because they're hearing different things around them. Different kids are playing. So it's fun to be able to rotate and then do the same thing just in a different place. The next time they come to my class, I give them another poem. And I think the second time I did, in the second class I did Hickory Dickory Dock. So again, I just project up on the screen, but here I have a printed out version. Hickory Dickory Dock, the mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck 1, the mouse ran down, Hickory Dickory Dock. So we go through and we talk about what we did with Humpty Dumpty, how you had to find a melody you really liked for the first line. For the second, we went through line by line and we found those and we put them together. We did all that. We talk about that and they say, now you're going to do the same thing with Hickory Dickory Dock, except now you have to do it with a partner. And you and your partner, or maybe in your group of 3, or maybe group of 4, I get to decide. But in that small group, you have to be able to come up with a thing. Everyone has to be able to play it. By the end of our class, you have to be able to do Hickory Dickory Dock, but you have to do it as a group. Ooh. Okay, so that's the progression of, it's the same process, but it is trickier now because they have to do it with other people, which means now there are like group dynamics thrown in there of like you have to work with one another, you have to be able to share with one another. And so what I say usually with kids is I say, okay, once you're in your group, for the first minute, ignore everyone else in your group and play through some examples on your own, try out some different things, and then after a minute, then start sharing what you've made, what you like, and then play what other people have done, see what they come up with, and then decide together what your favorite is. Maybe you'll take one thing from this person and one thing from this person and one thing from someone else and put it together. Maybe you'll say, oh my gosh, this person's thing is amazing, but it's tricky, let's try it. I don't know. But I show them some different ways of like how you can use group dynamics as you go through. This is tricky because again, they've done it on their own, but asking them to do it with a partner sometimes is not successful. Okay, so that first day I choose their groups. I give them the poem, they go through. By the end, each group shares. And so we go around, we share out what each one is, right? Cool, great, wonderful. Next time they come in, I let them choose their own group. And I give them a poem and they have to come up. And so then this is a little bit trickier too, because the first time I just tell them who they're with. And the second time they get to make a choice, which fine. But that might mean that like when I choose, I group like instruments together. Them choosing on their own might mean you might have 2 glockenspiels and a bass xylophone, or whatever. And so again, everyone has to be able to play. You all have to do it together. You have to figure out what you're going to do. My final activity is I have all of the poems here, and so then I'm going to go around and I'm going to hand out, and each group is going to get a different poem. So the first time it's like they're all doing the same thing, so like when they share out it's going to sound it's going to sound familiar because you will have worked with that poem as well. So my thought is, in this last lesson, I'm going to hand out different poems to each group of kids, and instead of them telling us what their poem is, they're going to play it, and we have to see if we can figure out what it is. So a group might play something like bum 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 ba da dum bum bum ba da bum 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 bum, or whatever, and then we would have to guess. Is that Humpty Dumpty? No. Is that Hey? You know, I might even put a list of like what the things are. Could it be Hey Diddle Diddle? Could it be Hickory Dickory Dock? Could it be, and have us sort of play it. And if we can't get it, they'll tell us, right? That's a cool, fun thing that you could do, and just have them sort of play around, play back and forth. All this takes time, though. It means that they have to know how to be able to come up with a melody. That's why I started with doing it on your own first. They have to have familiarity with the poems themselves. It won't work if they don't know the poem very well. And they have to be able to work with others. Also tricky. So in my 30-minute lessons, it's a lot to ask them, which is why in each class I'm sort of doing a progression. First they do it first we learn the poems. Then they do one on their own. Then they do one with a group I choose. Then we do different things with a group they choose. Then we do, so it's sort of getting more and more each time, getting trickier and trickier. One last thing I'm going to share, and then if you'll have comments or thoughts about how you might do it in your room, please put this in the chat. So I'm going to print out and have the poems for them, right? But I could also, I have these really cool things called nursery rhyme blocks. So they're like wooden blocks, like, nursery children have. But each one of them has a poem on it. Okay, that's a fun one. Let's see. So, Hickory Dickory Dock. You can see that. The camera does not want to show it. Hickory Dickory Dock. The mouse ran up the clock. So each side has one. This could be really tricky because they would have to hopefully know the poem, but if they don't, then they have to be, trying to figure it out, move it around. So this could be tricky, but it'd be fun to give them a physical block to say, like, here's your poem. You could also maybe have a printed out version next to it in case they wanted like the printed version, but if they could work from the block, that'd be cool. So like, let's see. This one would also have ones that we haven't done. So this might make it even more interesting, more tricky. Like, we haven't done Little Boy Blue, Come Blow Your Horn. We haven't done that one, but they could figure it out and use it. Let's see. Little Bo Peep has lost her sheep. Let's see what else we've got in here. Peter, Peter, Pumpkin Eater. Sing a Song of Sixpence. They for sure don't know that one. But there are just a ton. I have a ton of these blocks. They come in a big set. I think it's like 30 different poems. So like, you're going to get a ton of different ones. Jack and Jill went up the hill. Okay, Old Mother Hubbard went to the cupboard. There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. Ooh, that'd be another good one. Let's see. What else we got here? Yeah, I'm not going to do Pussycat, Pussycat, What Did You There? Or Where Have You Been? I've been to London to visit the Queen. Okay, no, pulling out. Wouldn't use that. Old King Cole's a merry old soul, sure. Let's see, Mary, Mary, quite contrary. So anyway, all these cool blocks, and then on each side they have a little image of like what the story is sort of about. So if I had more time, I could let kids come and choose a block. That'd be cool. You can even, if you don't want to print them out yourself, which I probably would just so they have another thing for kids in case kids are having trouble learning the rhythm or getting the rhythm, you could give them a printed out version like this, put it in a dry erase pocket and like say like, well, you can write the rhythm above it if you want. You can, that'd be a fun thing to let them try. If you give them the block, you could let them write it out if they wanted, but I would probably have a written out version just ready to go just in case. But these blocks are so cool, and I got them years and years and years ago. I've used them for a lot of different things, but this is another fun thing that you could absolutely do. I mean, you could even just have them draw it out of a bag and just like randomly, hey, here's your poem. Good luck, bye. You could do this individually too. Like, I have enough blocks maybe that I could give one to each kid in the class, or do it groups of 2, whatever. You can do all sorts of things. But the blocks are also especially nice because then they also see like 4 phrases. Little boy blue, come blow your horn. The sheep's in the meadow, the cow's in the corn. Is this the way you mind your sheep? Under the haystack fast asleep. Like, they're going to know it because boom, boom, the 4 different parts. So you could even assign like, okay, you get first phrase, you get second phrase, you get third phrase. You could have them sit and like put the block in the middle and they could all sit around it. There are so many things you could do with this, and these are super cool resource to have. These are from a brand called Uncle Goose. Uncle Goose also makes wooden blocks that have ukulele chords printed on the side. They also have a set of blocks with guitar chords printed on the side. They're called chord cubes. They're a super cool thing, but it's a small brand based out of, I think, Grand Rapids, Michigan. And so you sort of have to, you either find them in a local bookstore, you can find them online. I'm pretty sure they're on Amazon. I put a link to them on the links page if you're interested in these nursery rhyme blocks. But you can also get, like I said, the chord cubes are cool and fun for like centers, things like that. But the blocks themselves, the physical blocks, are just super cool. And again, something about having them tangible there to have and use. Kids really like that, and it adds a lot to the lesson. But if you want to just do old school, you can have just the poems printed out too. And again, I have these printed line by line, so again, kids sort of see the 4 phrases, and they have that in their head as they're thinking about, as they're coming up with their 4 different parts. Okay, because some of you were asking, like, how are you using nursery rhymes? Because I mentioned weeks ago, like, oh, we're doing a nursery rhyme every day. Why? Well, here's why. Because I feel like kids need to have that understanding. Even though we've only learned like 8 nursery rhymes like in class, I feel like if I give them one like Little Boy Blue, Go Blow Your Horn, they can still figure it out because we've done it together so many times that they can take a new poem and they can apply what they've learned about how to like parse out line by line or the rhymes or the feel. Is it in 2? Is it in 3? They can figure that out. But it'd just be fun to use this, sort of mix things up and share out in another sort of way. Cool. Okay, well, if you have any other ideas about how you might use those nursery rhyme blocks, anything else we shared tonight, put those ideas in the chat. I'd love to learn more from y'all. I see some folks on Instagram were talking about the Bhangra music. How do you spell it? Bhangra. Super cool. And like I said, with the Bhangra, you can find lots of different tutorials because it's sort of like it's a tradition that's making its way around the world, and people are coming in doing classes and stuff. It's also sort of become like the new Zumba, sort of like it's like a taking this idea of like a dance step, and then also using it for cardio. So you can find some examples online of that too. But it's a super fun way that you can integrate stacked parts. You can use what works for you and integrate that into a lesson too. Oh, and my shirt. Someone mentioned my shirt. It says love, empathy, compassion, inclusion, justice, kindness. It's from a brand called Kind Cotton. I got it a year or 2 ago. It's also like the softest shirt I own. So this is my day off from school. So I was like, I'm gonna wear my t-shirt. But also it's just like so comfortable. But I do wear it at school for like casual Friday, but it's a fun shirt to have, especially like during Kindness Month or during we're doing a lot of stuff with our counselor in SEL. It's a fun shirt to wear around. Anyway, Kind Cotton, go check them out. They're super cool. Okay, well, that's all I'm going to share tonight. Again, if you're in Kansas and you are going to go to Kansas Music Educators this Friday, I hope I'll see you there. I'm going to be doing 3 sessions. Please come. 2 on centers and 1 on puppets. And so I hope I'll see you there. If not, I hope I'll see you all next Monday for another Musical Mondays video. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.